support 5 and 6. But politicians, lobbyists, and the special interests have lined up against 5 and 6. 5 and 6 will give politicians strict rules to follow so they can't draw districts that favor themselves. That's why every major newspaper in the state is supporting Amendments 5 and 6. Draw the line against self-serving politicians. Vote yes on 5 and 6.
And we're back live inside Studio 10. I'm Jerome Ritchie, and this is Mary Beth Bird in for Holly today. And a healthy diet and active lifestyle will help you live a longer life. And a great way to start is by participating in this year's Tampa Bay Start Heart Walk.
And here to tell us about it is a familiar face for most of us, Jared Fogle, the Subway guy. Welcome, Jared. So nice to have you with us.
I'm glad to be back. Thanks you guys very much.
So we see, last time I was in Subway, they've got it plastered all over the place. You're running in the New York Marathon. That's the granddaddy of all marathons.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
You know, it was sort of one of those things for several years. It's been on my bucket list to say I've done a marathon.
Right.
And I mean, it was way at the bottom of my bucket list. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It was way at the bottom.
Back in the 90s.
It takes a lot of work. And you got to realize, too, I've never been a runner before. Before this year, I've never run more than a mile in my life.
No kidding.
You know, and going into it, didn't know if I was going to have any health issues. Obviously, having been over 425 pounds, 12 years ago, would that have a factor? Would my knees hold up, obviously? But you know what? I started out by sort of splitting it up, saying, I'm going to start training for a 5K. I'm going to get through that and see how I do. Then I'm going to move into training for a 10K, which is about a little over 6 miles, get through that. And then go into a half marathon training, do a half marathon this summer. And then if I'm all feeling good, I'm going to continue on. And sure enough, my body really reacted fairly well. I mean, of course, soreness and everything else like you always have when you run. But nothing that really hurt. And, I felt good about it. Obviously, probably the best shape I've been in my life now. And, in November 7th, which will be Sunday, going to complete the ING New York City Marathon. And hopefully people out there can say, hey, if that Jared guy cannot just lose 245 pounds to keep it off, and now he's doing a marathon, maybe I can too.
And don't you think that is such a great, you're an inspiration for others because they can look at where you've come from and what you're now accomplishing and say, you know what, to not just accomplish that, but to feel the way that you do.
Yeah, and I think that's the neat part about all this is I'm just a normal person like anybody else. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana still. I don't live on Hollywood or New York or anything like that. And,
right. You could though if you wanted to.
I probably could if I wanted to, but
Sunset and Vine right there.
That's right. There's a condo waiting for you right there.
Right.
But no, I think that's part of people still relate to the story really well.
Sure.
As I said, just that Midwestern guy who did this and didn't expect to have all this happen, obviously, but at the same time, I've also realized that, losing the weight is phase 1, but now phase 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is keeping it off, realizing you're going to have some peaks and valleys here or there. Don't fall off the horse completely. And obviously, my big thing is just moderation now.
Hey, so. And congratulations also. I believe you just got married a couple of months ago.
Yeah, Katie this summer. Katie, yeah.
Tell us about the new Mrs. Jared.
She's great. I've known her since college. She's a good friend of my brother's actually in college. So, I've known her for a while.
Now, how did you meet back up? That's always fascinating. Here you are, years later.
Yeah.
What happened?
We were at a mutual friend's wedding about 2.5, almost 3 years ago. And
it's always a wedding.
Drinks.
Were you both there?
Some of that truth serum, that gets you to, get you to. And I asked her out, and one of those things, and she said yes. And
good.
We went on our first date. It was actually right around Halloween, so it was a little over 2 years ago. And just hit it off right away. Just a great girl, and she puts up with my travel schedule, and sort of puts up with me having to be on, so to speak. When you're sort of a public figure, you have to deal with that part.
Right.
And it's got some challenges, obviously, but at the same time, she's wonderful, and couldn't have asked for anything more. So.
And that's why you're here, is to talk about the Heart Walk
Absolutely.
Here in the Tampa Bay area,
Yes.
coming up on the 6th.
On the 6th, which normally for the last 7 or 8 years, I've gotten to be part of the Tampa Bay Heart Walk itself, but because of the New York Marathon this year, had a little bit of a conflict.
Sure.
So that's why we're here in town, obviously trying to promote it, trying to get people to come out to it. It's for those who don't know what a Heart Walk is, it's the #1 fundraiser every year for the American Heart Association. You can see some pictures
Look
there.
at that crowd.
Over 23,000 people showed up last year for it. It's at Raymond James Stadium. And one of the coolest things about the walk, not only do you choose a 1-mile course or a 3-mile course based on how you feel or what your family wants to do, but at the end of the walk, you walk through the stadium, down the sidelines where the Bucks would normally be, and you actually get to appear on the Jumbotron. So some really cool family-friendly events. Subway is a big sponsor of it, so I get to attend quite a few of these Heart Walks coast to coast. And as I said, it's all about fighting cardiovascular disease and fighting stroke, which right now are the #1 and #3 killers in America. So really important cause, and hopefully if you want more information, you can go to tampabayheartwalk.org. TampaBayHeartWalk.org, and get some more information that way.
I think it's interesting you mentioned how you had, you obviously had lost a ton of weight with the Subway diet and exercise and so forth, but you also said you did gain a bit of it back, and now you've taken it off again for the marathon.
Right.
And I think a lot of people watching that are dieting and trying to lose weight go through that. What did you do that people trying to keep the weight off should not do?
Well, I think, you have to nip it in the bud. And I think, unfortunately, we're human beings.
We
And
are.
until the day they make a carrot stick taste just as good as a mozzarella cheese stick, I'm going to have a problem.
When
I think
is
a lot
that
of people
day?
are going to have a problem. And so you're going to go through phases in your life where events are going to happen, or you're just not going to quite be as vigilant. And that's what happened with me last year a little bit, And for a few months there, I just sort of, went off track a little bit. But at the same time, like Barney Fife said, I nipped it in the bud and, got back on track and obviously took it to the next level here with the marathon track.
And you were never photographed at Burger King or any of the other places? That never happened.
That's the B word. You can't say that. That's a naughty word.
I take it all back. Well, Jared, we are going to make Jared the Studio 10 win stuff word today. Just watch, you log on, and you just might win. It's that easy, folks.
That's right. Simply go to our website, studio10.tv, and click on the Win Stuff link at the bottom of the homepage. Type in today's Win Stuff word, which is Jared, and you'll earn points that you can use to win.